So, Mark, I know one of the most important things to you is your family.
Oh, yes.
And we hear about your wife, Andrea, a lot, which is beautiful. But
She is. Woo.
all right, stop sucking up. But tell me about fatherhood. How did you become? I know it's a passion. I know it's like super important, right up there with God and Andrea. Tell me about fatherhood.
Man,
What does it mean to you?
fatherhood means I get the privilege of lives to help mold with God's help, to prepare for adulthood, and hopefully when they leave the house, they are people of character with integrity who are meaningful contributors to our society. That was my goal as a father. And the thing is, you never stop being a dad. I mean, as we're recording this now, my 3 offspring, my youngest is 23 and married, soon to be 24, David. My middle child, Joel, will turn 32 next month. And my daughter, my princess, Andrina, is 34 and a half. And, I don't know where 34 years of parenting went. I do know when we first heard we're going to have parents, it was unexpected. Truth be told, we didn't officially plan any of our 3 children. They were God's gifts to us. And initially,
you did play some part in that.
yeah, I did this much, But one of the first commitments that Andrea and I made was that, okay, I'd go to work and she'd stay home and be mom to the kids. I would be the breadwinner, but I'd also want to be dad to my kids, which really became significant after I won the world title. And my son David was 1. He was in arms in the contest. I won in August. He turned 1 in October. And then I began traveling a few years after that, and he was growing up while I was traveling, and I was always concerned, am I there enough for my kids? But I took a job speaking full-time for a company called QSP, part of Reader's Digest. And when I took the job, I laid certain ground rules down. I'm traveling 5 days a week, 8, 9, 10, 12 weeks in a row, giving talks in schools across North America. The good news was I had summers off. But above all that, I said, listen, I'll do this job, but I will not be gone on Valentine's Day, any of my children's birthdays, my wife's birthday, are you kidding me? I want to live, or our wedding anniversary. And they said, no problem. Because they understood that those days are special to kids growing up. Their birthday, daddy's not here. No, I was home for all the holidays. I was home for all the birthdays. And as my youngest was growing up, I would go to the school for field trips to the firehouse. And my wife and I in high school for David, we were actually band parents. We were on the Parent Booster Club. I rode in one of the buses to the football games. My son played drums in the marching band. I was there for those events. My daughter went to college. She sang in a vocal ensemble. We went to watch them perform at college. So I believed I had to make sure my schedule did not override my family priorities.
What do you think is the habit or the attribute that means the most to be a good dad?
This might sound weird. First thing is, be a good husband. Love your kids' mom. Let them see it, show it, let them know it. To be a good dad, be willing to admit when you make mistakes and you mess up, because you will. There is no manual that says, here's how to be a perfect dad. My manual is the Bible, certainly, okay? But be willing to sacrifice for your family, to love on your family. I'm not saying spoil your kids, but you have to also be a disciplinarian. You have to know when to say no, when to say yes, and when to say maybe. I told my kids this, listen, you're going to ask for stuff in life. You're going to want A, B, C, D, whatever. That's fine. But I may say yes, and I may say no. I may say wait. If I say no, and you have information that could help me change my no to a yes, I may change it. But if I say yes and I find out you withheld information or been dishonest, that yes becomes a no real quick. Don't threaten and then not follow through. If you say it's going to be a 2-week curfew, don't back down. If they break a rule, stick to the rule. Be a good dad. Be on the same page as your wife when it comes to parenting, because kids will turn you against each other. Kids are smart, okay? But whatever you do, let the kids know first of all how much you love them, and don't imply it. Tell them. I read bedtime stories. I sang silly songs. I played with my kids. I roughhoused. I horsed around. But I told my kids I love them. I tell my kids to this day I love them. And I will never stop telling my kids I love them. Don't just say it, show it.
Did you make any mistakes? Well, you said you made mistakes.
Duh. Am I human?
Can you give us an example?
Parenting mistakes. One common mistake I think is being too lenient sometimes. You know, you in your mind you plan to be a good dad. You want your kids to like you, and I'll be honest. Here in North America, parents can be very lax and let kids do what they want to do when you want to please your kids. The kid does a mistake or makes a bad choice. I'm going to punish you when you go to your room and don't come out for 2 hours. Well, what's in their room? A mobile phone, a TV, a video game system, a laptop computer, and then mom brings them lunch. Are you kidding me? But you can mess up by being too harsh, too lenient, and there were times I just flat made bad decisions. And one of the hardest things is to go to your 13-year-old son. My son was in middle school. I think he was 12. Joel, the middle one, who's now almost 32, was in middle school, and he had to go to the clothing store to buy material for his home, and we called it home ec back in the day. They don't call it home ec anymore, But he had to sew a pair of shorts, running shorts. And we were in the car at the curb in Mount Vernon, New York, about to go into the store, and he's crying and I'm crying because he says, "Dad, you're always so hard on me. You don't give me a chance. You're always so hard on me." And my 12-year-old son tells me this, and I realize he is absolutely right. And I apologized to my son. And we're both crying in the car, and I realized I was trying so hard to push him to be his best. I was overdoing it. And the last thing I wanted was to alienate my son, my first son. I loved more than anything in the world. And it hit me so hard. But it wasn't hard to apologize. Real men cry, and good dads apologize when they mess up. I know we can say, because I said so. I'm dad, that's why. Okay, fine. But if you're going to hold that mantle of I'm dad, and dad makes a bad choice, admit it. Fess up to it, and make it right. And I will not forget when Andrea and I renewed our vows, 30 years, had a ceremony on the front lawn of our house. My kids were there. My son was the best man. And he gave the best man speech. And he said, growing up, he used to see how mom and I loved each other. Andrea and I loved each other, loved the kids. And it was pretty cool. He says, that kind of romance is kind of idealistic. And to compound the issue, and I'm paraphrasing now, his friends in school, broken homes, live with their mom, live with their grandmom. They have 2 homes, dad on the weekends, mom in the week. He said, I had so many friends in school who were from broken homes and divorce and all that. And I began to think that happy marriage, long life, and healthy nuclear family was just totally idealistic. He says, now I'm 25. Mom and dad are having their 30th wedding anniversary, and they still love each other, maybe even more than when we were kids. I says, thanks to my mom and my dad, I now believe that the idealistic can be the realistic. When my foundational phrase, when my son said that, it hit me that we don't try our best to say, okay, son, watch me now. This is what a dad does. Become like me, son. No, you live your life out in real time, but your children are watching you. They're listening to
everything you do.
They're observing you. You and your wife have a conflict or your spouse have a conflict. They see that, and they see how you resolve that. I'm far from perfect. I mess up. I grew up with a really sour temper. I was like, but God, thank God, He's working on me, and He's blessed me with a beautiful wife. And even though we have conflict, we learn how to work through that. And when my wife had a big birthday a few years ago, we decided to go to Jamaica to a resort for a week. And all three of our kids were happy and wanted to come with us. And we went as a family. And when your kids in their 30s want to spend time with you, I cannot tell you something. So, and I pray, almost daily I pray, God, help me to be the father my kids need and the husband my wife deserves. And that's a prayer from my heart. I pray pretty much every single day.
So, final question: what
Yeah.
advice would you give your kids
Yeah.
about parenthood? If this was your last chance to give them advice about parenthood.
I told you so. Parenthood is not easy. I said before, there is no manual that tells you how to be a parent perfectly in every circumstance. Now, I do derive wisdom from the book of Proverbs, certainly, and other parents. But understand this. I love what Bill Cosby said. You can't have just one kid. If something breaks, you know who did it. You need at least two. Every child is different. There is no cookie cutter method for raising children. Different temperaments, different skill sets, different attitudes. The first thing you gotta do is love on your kids. And hopefully by now, you'd have realized that as weird, as unfair, as tough, or as goofy as your dad may have been, you'll see now that everything I did and failed at was because I wanted to be a good father to you, all of you. And I hope there's something in me and the way I've lived my life that'll make you choose to be like your mother and I. I love you more than I can say, and I always will.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you, brother. Good man.